Happy Saturday! Hey, it's the weekend, and have I got some news for you? Well, I hopefully have. Yeah, we're going to go into what Eatsy's been up to this week. Warning already, there might be some rants. You might not agree with all of my rants, and that's absolutely cool. We're all allowed different opinions, and all of our shops are different, so what works for us is different. But let's dig into this. Starting with just checking this is actually working. It is. If you haven't noticed, and this is in the Etsy forums, so you can get there from your Etsy forums, basically, which on your dashboard, community and help, Etsy forums. But there's Etsy holiday workshops. There's lots of events coming up. They may be good, they may be rubbish. I will be attempting to keep an eye on them. So if there's anything super important, I'll hopefully be able to report back. But yeah, you can sign up for some events. Sometimes they're good, sometimes there's little nuggets, sometimes it's really boring. But I suppose it's something you could put on. They're like usually like video presentations, so you could have them on in the background while you're doing some crafting. Okay. This weekend, you may have noticed that Etsy is running a sale at no cost to us, and I hate it. Let me explain what's happening. Some of it's good, some of it I dislike. The first thing, now Etsy gave us no warning for this, which is a negative in my book, which I'll explain to it in a minute, but there's no warning. I believe this came up, was it Thursday or Friday? They told us this weekend, this is what's happening. And it said it's running from Friday to Sunday, but a lot of people, it wasn't working for them on Friday. It wasn't clear. They were saying from lunchtime Friday or evening Friday. We weren't told an exact time or a time zone because this is in the UK, US, and Canada, if I remember correctly. So we didn't know when the sale was starting. Now, firstly, for many people, this will be good. If you're the kind of shop that runs sales and things and this works for your audience, what is happening now? Misconceptions, first of all, you don't have to be signed in to share and save. You don't have to opt into this. This is site-wide on Etsy. For any order over £25 or $25, whatever, Etsy is covering £5 off, $5 off. So if you go onto Etsy and you shop away and you get an order and it totals £25 or more, it'll now, what you will pay will be £5 or dollars less. That's taken off. And that does not come out of the seller's fees. Etsy's covering it, which basically it comes out of the increase in fees that we did a while ago. This is sort of their marketing budget. Now, I get in some respects this is kind of good. It's not awful. They're paying for it. This is like a marketing thing. As far as I can see now, they didn't publicize it anywhere. It wasn't until this morning that there's actually a banner on the dashboard on the homepage for buyers. But before that, the feeling I was getting was we were expected to promote this code to our buyers. So, and I understand this, like advertising is expensive. Etsy is starting with a share and save, and now this. They're wanting us to improve our social media, so we bring buyers in. Now, this is good. We're directing people to our own shop. That's all fine, and it's free people for Etsy. They don't have to work for it. I am pretty sure that if you sent them by your tracking code, you would get the money off your fees as well. Yeah, I see no reason why not. So it could be win-win-win sort of that way. Basically, it's Etsy using us to promote Etsy. That's okay. New buyers coming in is a good thing for all of us. That's cool. Why I don't like it is, number one, I don't have sales on my shop. It's sort of my thing. But I'm not allowed to not have this sale in my shop. It sounds miserly or whatever else, but there's some real quality brands that don't have sales. So that's the price. That's part of their thing. So it is a business strategy that absolutely works. But also the big thing that concerns me is teaching your buyers to always like sales can be a downside. There are companies, it was a car manufacturer I'm thinking of, I can't remember the name. Someone let me know in the comments. But they had this thing of having a sale come often enough. Now, they were trying to get seen, trying to get sales. So they would do what so many people do, run a sale. Now, people think if they run a sale, that brings buyers in and it'll perk up interest and you'll get more buyers and more buyers. But what this car company found, because cars aren't a thing that you can keep, you don't have a repeat customer that comes back every 3 months unless you're in Aberdeen when the boats come in. But anyway, that's a very, very niche joke. But anyway, you don't keep on selling cars. So what would happen is people would wait till this sale and buy the car that was at a loss to the manufacturers, and they weren't making any sales. They weren't selling any cars in between their very big sales. So if you start teaching customers that you have sales, then they'll wait and they won't buy at other times when you're at full price. This for me, this works very much against me with the Black Friday thing. So many people now wait till Black Friday, which is really, really not good for me, because usually by about Black Friday, because I sell a lot of custom things that take a long time to make, I'm usually shutting down my shop to new orders about Black Friday. So I don't want people waiting till the time when I'm just shutting down my shop. It makes no sense for me to run a sale at a time when I'm too busy. So teaching people to wait for sales is not actually good for me. And the other thing I have found, and many people have found, when we're doing a race to the bottom, when we're trying to compete to get eBay and Amazon customers, we get eBay and Amazon customers. Now, when you buy off of eBay and Amazon, it's a very different experience. You expect what you ordered, when you ordered it, and if there's anything wrong, you're going to go back and yell at the seller. It's it's a very much more aggressive selling experience, whereas Etsy I always found was much more pleasant. You're dealing with people who know they're talking to artists, so everybody's much more pleasant. If you sell to people who are looking for the bargain discounts, they treat you like you're the bargain discount, basically. So that's why I don't like it. I get this works for a lot of people. It's free, it's no hassle, but I don't like that my shop has been forced into a sale. Even though it's not costing me, it's now taken away part of my uniqueness of my shop, is that don't wait because there ain't going to be no sales. Now there is a sale. Rant over there. Oh, before we do, yeah, I think there's a reason why Etsy's doing this. Etsy is quiet. Now, this is from eRank, the data of the reach of Etsy in the US, but it's the same everywhere. The reach is of all the people searching on all the internet in the US, nearly 4% of them we're finding we're going to Etsy. So nearly 4% of the traffic in the US was going to Etsy, and that is actually huge. That's really good. But in the past month or so, in the past month, we can see in this graph, I don't need to explain that what this graph is telling us. The reach has fallen off a cliff. It's the lowest it's been since the middle of summer, because that's the date we can see on that graph. It's gone down to about 3.5%, which is a significant drop. So Etsy is quiet. There's less buyers just now. And Etsy already provided a fairly not great financial report for quarter two. They're coming up to quarter three, and it's it's obviously not looking great for them. So they wanted to do something to get a boost in sales, to get a little, let's perk things up. But the thing is, this is normal. I say this to sellers all the time, so why isn't Etsy taking its own advice? Well, it's not taking its own advice because it's now beholden to shareholders, but this is the calm before the crazy. So this is the time when we should be sitting back, making sure that all our listings are in order, that we've got all our supplies in, that we're ready for the busier period. It's not the time to, I mean, yes, you can have sales and stuff if that works for you, but we know it's quiet, so fighting and tweaking all our SEO and trying to do everything to get that very small amount of customers that's there is probably not the great thing. That we've got to hold firm, and Etsy kind of really needed to do that. And yeah, if you're freaking out at that graph, this is Etsy, eBay, and Amazon. I can't remember which is which. But they've all got that exact shape. Yeah, the first one's Etsy. I think the second one's eBay, so they have a little perk and then a drop, and the third one's Amazon. Probably Amazon's at 20%. Wow, yeah, that's it. But they've all taken a similar looking dip just now. So normal, don't panic, but Etsy panicked. Right. And I think is this yeah, I wasn't sure about putting this in. So Etsy's been in the news again. CNBC has a seller who's doing fantastically well. Another seller in the news. Now, I'm not a fan of these quit your day job type articles because they're inspirational. That sounds terrible. Because they lead people to have an unrealistic expectation. Now, okay, well, I'll say what's in the article first, because these are the exact words and I can't get sued for saying what's there. But then we'll go into this a little bit more. So the article, a 31-year-old mum left her job for a simple and easy side hustle. She brings in up to $101,000 a month and works 30 minutes a day. Okay, right. Want to get into, firstly, the 30 minutes a day. I think that's what really sets me apart. I'm not afraid to put in the hours. Okay, so the headlines are saying she works 30 minutes a day, but in the text she's saying I put in the hours. So this is the first one. It's like a side hustle on Etsy is dead easy. You do 2 minutes a day and you make millions. Do you now? Do you? So it's not her fault what the headline they decided to do is. I think she's very misleading. So of course it's a print on demand one. But she does say at the start of the article, she talks about one bit I really like. She says for a supposedly very, very busy shop, she checks trends once a month. She's doing her SEO once a month on a shop that's supposedly making $100,000 a month. So yeah, you don't keep you know, even a busy shop like that isn't doing SEO all the time. But she's saying she designs her designs for t-shirts on Canva and stuff, and from what I've seen, she had an awful lot of designs, and to make a decent design, it takes to make a decent design, to build up that amount of inventory in a shop takes more than 30 minutes. Anyway, so it says occasionally she buys an illustration from a designer that parodies or duly references popular characters or songs, carefully walking a grey line to avoid copyright infringement. Now, to unpack that, that's quite a lot of not good. Firstly, there's quite a grey line if you buy an illustration from somebody else and put it on a print-on-demand t-shirt. How handmade is that? That's a grey line in my opinion already. But yeah, carefully walking the grey line to avoid copyright infringement. This makes me so angry that there's people out there who, and she sells a very popular course. That's the entire point of doing one of these articles. So there's people who say, I've made massive amounts of money, join my course. Here I do it with walking a grey line. Now, copyright infringement, if anybody doesn't know, that's a legal thing that can only be decided in a court of law. So she can't tell you if her items are infringing or not unless she's been to court. And she can't advise you if what you're going to do is infringing or not. You have to actually go to court. You have to be taken to court. So anyone who says they're carefully walking the grey line, what they literally mean is, unless they have a very good team of lawyers telling them that is exactly right, which I don't think any decent lawyers would be doing, but there ain't no grey line, right? They're advising something that is kind of illegal, but you've just not been caught yet, probably, in my opinion, allegedly. See the grey line there? So, yeah. There's two things that are a problem right there. Now, in this article, I missed the very start. I was there pretty early from when it started, and they had a link to her shop. She has two shops, which she doesn't disclose in each other, which is against Etsy rules. But she has two shops, but one of them is the print on demand t-shirt, another one is selling mock-ups for people who sell print on demand. Potentially, well, she has a course that teaches people how to do print on demand, and she's able to send them to buy mock-ups. So I'm not dissing there. It's a good business strategy. I just don't like making money out of people who are desperate because they see this big money and they want to start up. So they buy a course and buy mock-ups and then realize that Etsy isn't $100,000 a month. Anyway, that's where I totally lost my train of thought there. But yeah, she has two shops. There we go. Yeah. And it was apparently, she does a YouTube channel and everything. She's never mentioned her print on demand shop because she's afraid of copyright. But apparently in this article, her print on demand shop was mentioned, and very quickly it was taken down. Now, this is where it gets to allegedly, because I never saw it. I've not seen any screenshots or archives of what the article said, but people on Reddit have said what her shop name is based on that. And I'm not going to say it here. So everything from here on in is allegedly based on that. But people have said what her shop name is, and the shop is currently closed down. And using eRank to look at it, it closed down about the time that article came out. So whether she decided to close it down because she was outed or it was closed for her, not sure. A few people did say right at the front page, right at the front of her shop when they went there, and I haven't seen this, but right at the front, she had a t-shirt with a smiley on it. And we talked a couple of weeks ago about how smileys are being sued. Best way to say it. So yeah, a smiley is not a grey line. That's really, 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 really not good. So that was a problem. So her shop is taken down. If this is the shop. Now, you can use eRank if you have a paid subscription to look at the history of sales in a shop. If you use the competitor sales tool, which I have done, it shows the past 15 months on Etsy. And so I can look at the total sales, and I divided the total amount of revenue she said she made in her shop by the total number of sales, and she's averaging about $25 a sale, which makes absolutely sense for a print on demand type shop. $25 sounds good. She's saying that the article is saying $100,000 a month. In the past 15 months, the highest selling month looked like she sold 1,000, maybe about 2,000 items in her shop. It was about 1,000, I can't remember. But since then, her shop has been on a decline since then and was selling between 1 and 200 items a month, which is fantastic, and it is a lot, but it's not what people are expecting from here. But what I would say, and it's absolutely fair enough, she did good, but her shop's dropping away. She's probably focusing on other things. She did say in the article her YouTube channel makes more money than her Etsy shops now, and I totally get it. She opened her shop in the pandemic. That says that in the article. She sells print on demand. Now, no shade. Look, I want to say all these new gurus and everything, probably most of them believe what they're saying. They're not bad people. They're not trying to do bad, and they probably are trying to help people while helping their family at the same time. But if you open a print on demand t-shirt shop at the very time, the one point in history where people all over the world are not legally allowed to leave their house to buy clothes, it's a much easier time. And that is also the time that Etsy had a massive surge in sales, especially masks and clothes and things. So anyone that started their shop in 2020 started a different shop than what someone's going to be starting their shop just now. So it also makes sense that our sales are tailing off. And I'm always a little concerned that people want to give you advice when they've made massive sales from something that people can't replicate. We can't make a pandemic happen again. Even if I went around my supermarket sneezing on everybody, I can't make a pandemic happen. That is a joke. So yeah, I hope you see that it's a very different kind of thing. Um, so yeah, people make massive sales, but they don't necessarily have the understanding of why they made massive sales. And there is a thing I get pressured for it all the time. Anytime I try and I speak to gurus, I follow gurus, I join courses and things for growing on YouTube because that's part of my shtick. That's something I do. I like to learn about it as well. But every time it's like, you've got 100 subscribers, you should write a course. You've got 1,000 subscribers, you should write a course. There's pressure all the time. If you're doing well on YouTube, you should write a course to sell to people. So basically, the whole thing just now is start a business like Etsy really, really quickly, make lots of sales, doing whatever in a pandemic, walking a grey line, get lots and lots of sales very quickly. So you're probably pouring in a ton of work and doing some shady things, not necessarily her, I'm just talking in general. Build it up really quickly. Then you've got that as proof that you can start selling your course, and your course is going to be much, much, much more profitable. I'm not saying anybody having a course is a bad thing, but it's kind of, it's not shady. It's kind of weird if you've been in business for a year that you're suddenly teaching people how to run a business when you haven't been through all the seasons of a business. Does that make sense? Anyway, I'm totally ranting, and I don't know that this is her shop, but I hate these articles because firstly, it's so annoying that people who are doing grey line shady stuff sneakily get an absolute load of sales and then build up a YouTube channel that YouTube promotes because everybody's clicking on the get $100,000 in a month videos. And they're not clicking on, it's not even me, I'm not that great, but there's some wonderful YouTubers out there that are giving great advice that have helped and coached hundreds and thousands of people between them. I doubt any of them have done it, but they've taught loads of people. They have really good advice, but it's not flashy because you're not going to make $100,000 a month, probably. Most of us aren't. So, yeah, so they do all of this and it's flashy. And then you get in the news and the news drives traffic to you and the news drives people to buy from your course and things. So you get you get popular for having these flashy titles and people think that you're an expert when nobody's more of an expert than anybody else. Nobody knows it all. Nobody has the magic. Oh, I'm going to stop right. Okay, that's. Let me know in the comments. I'm told you Rant was coming. I don't know if this woman's shop is what's been shown on Reddit. So that was a general rant. I generally don't like these. They're not inspirational. They're false. They're false expectations. There's the word. They're false expectations. Anyway, yeah. What? Have a have a good weekend. Really sorry about that. Yeah. Okay.